Good morning. It's Leanne Peters here. I'm from templeofbalance.com.au, Temple of Balance on Facebook and Temple of Balance on YouTube. And I'm here to create a space of healing and support for you in this moment. So I trust that this video finds you well, whether you're connecting with the live recording or later to the replay. Welcome. Extra special welcome I want to send out to my Temple of Balance patrons, my Pillar of Light members, and all of those of you who support my work through my website. Thank you so much for your support. I'm coming to you live from Tasmania, Australia. I'm just not far from Hobart. If you know Tasmania at all, Hobart's a capital city. I'm about 20 minutes drive from Hobart in the southeast of Tasmania. And it is another beautiful autumn morning here. So it's currently Sunday the 24th of, I think, is it the 24th? My goodness, I'm just so not keeping up with dates. 24th of April at 7:23 a.m. It's going to be another beautiful sunny day, and I'm hoping to have a bit of a repeat of yesterday's fantastic day, which was, for me, it was a couple of hours of painting for my exhibition coming up in a couple of weeks, and packing and moving some things to the storage unit. So it felt good. Yesterday was fantastic. I had a great sleep. I feel very alert and connected this morning, so I thought I'd come in while the sun's rising behind me, connect with you, and then do some painting. So I trust you're well. My plan, my intention today is very similar to most of my support videos. If you've seen any in this last week or so, what I'll be doing is grabbing a healing energy card. So I'll be grabbing one of those for the majority of us. I'm not pulling cards for individuals, just general for this moment. And then I've got my singing bell to play for a minute or two. I have most of my instruments packed, so I've only got about 3 to rotate around, so yeah, it's just the way it is right now. I'll get my other instruments out again once we unpack. So welcome. So let's grab a healing energy card, the best healing energy card that we need moving forward. So with my healing energy cards that I'm using now, these are templates. These are printed on photo paper. It's the way I refine my decks when I'm making a deck of cards. And in this deck there are 2 decks. Healing energy cards number 1 is 55 cards. Now in healing energy cards 1, if you're used to working with that deck, there are some cards that you're going to recognise, and there are some cards that have been upgraded, like this one, for example, Winds of Change. Used to be Cycles of Change, card 15, and I've changed the artwork. But there are some that are the same, like the Phoenix. I can't not keep the Phoenix in, for example. And then there's also the second Healing Energy card deck, which is a brand new deck which extends cards 55 to 110. You can work with them separately or or together, combined. And also Healing Energy cards 2 is going to be the same size as the original Healing Energy card, so you can use your original deck that you've been working with for a while and add your Healing Energy cards to it. I've had some questions about it, so I thought I'd just clarify in the video. So anyway, they're not very easy to shuffle when you're shuffling photos. But anyway, this is the best way of refining a deck of cards. So anyway, the best card for the majority of us, which we'll talk about, is this card here. Hello everybody. It's card 73, called Break the Spell. Break the Spell. So 73, so this is in the second Healing Energy cards number 2, the brand new deck. It's in the Rise category, and down here it says unbinding contracts, obligations and promises once made. Release from the narcissist. Waking up. The realization of living a lie. Influence and truth. So this is a bit of a truth slap sort of card, And first of all, that first sentence, unbinding contracts, obligations and promises once made. And I've found several times in my healing journey over this last 20 plus years that sometimes there are things that I'm dealing with in life, or people that I'm dealing with who I've got a past life connection with, where I've made a promise or a vow to that person or that situation, or even to myself, to fulfill something that was missing at the time. So it could have been earlier in my life, could have been past lives, if you're open to that. I've done quite a few actually around past lives. So, and sometimes we make promises, you know, when we start a relationship, we make a vow, a promise to the other person, but things change over time. So there is this feeling at the moment that there may be something stirring for some of us that's around promises or vows or contracts or obligations that we made in the past, whether it was a year ago or in past lives, a couple of lifetimes ago. So if you're dealing with something now that you feel obligated to, but you can't explain why, like I feel that I've got to protect this person, but I don't know why, it doesn't make any logical sense, there might be a connection in this sort of aspect. Also, so it says here, release from the narcissist. So if you've had narcissist energy around, or if you've been dealing with one that you've freed yourself from, they tend to have this shadow energy that seems to sort of ripple out into our life, continues to ripple out. So there's a lot of releasing that's needed when we have those types of effects from a narcissist. So you may find yourself in that situation. And then it talks about waking up, and this is the big one, realizing that we've been living a lie. And this is a huge thing. This happened to me, it's happened to me on a big scale once, when I didn't realize I'd been fooling myself for I don't know how long, but I woke up this one morning in this one moment and realized, oh my gosh, I've been living a lie. And that was the biggest reality check that I've ever made, and that was the biggest life change that I've ever made as a consequence of that realization. And I think we don't realize, we're not doing it deliberately or consciously, but there is this, I don't know if you've had it too, but this moment, this where everything lines up and where we get this light bulb moment that reveals to us when we're ready as well, that something we've been doing or a relationship we've been in or a way we've been living hasn't actually been aligned with our truth. And then it says influence and truth. So the name of this card is Break the Spell. And what we've been encouraged to consider at this time, on this day, in this moment, whenever you're connecting, is what spell are we under? Are you under a spell or a contract from the past that you feel, without being able to logically explain it, that you have to fulfill this obligation or this promise or this vow that you made in the past? Do you need to still be fulfilling that? Is it still your responsibility? And sometimes we reach a point where we need to recognize or see the truth that it is not our responsibility anymore. Are you breaking free from a narcissistic energy? Have you been living a lie? So it's a bit of a sort of a breaking of the spell with this, like a breaking of illusion, breaking of our reality that we thought was true, but maybe isn't. So the rising, being in the rise category too, also brings an uplifting feeling to this. So as we realise that we've been under a spell of some sort, and I see that as like this potion bottle, that's what I see this as like one of those potion bottles with really thin glass. And if we're ready, and if we realise this, and if this is stuff you've been thinking about, and I just happen to be talking about it, then this is definitely a validation for you. So are you ready to break this spell that you've been under? Are you ready to break from that spell bottle and break that glass and break that illusion, that lie, that sort of twisted reality that you've been living in that has not been aligned with your truth? I like to remind myself often to, shift things, align with the energy that aligns with my highest truth. And I know eventually, even if I don't realise I'm under a spell at the time, I know eventually I'm going to realise, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to see the truth. Because that is my intention, whether I'm ready to hear it or not. So interesting. Are you ready to break that spell bottle? Are you ready to release your responsibilities that are not yours to carry? And yes, there's a lot that we're responsible for and a lot of responsibilities we carry that are true and that are right. But there might be the odd one in there that is not actually our responsibility. It's not our role. And why do we feel that we have to do that? Where does it come from? Where did it start? And is this still who we are today? So, breaking the spell, if this resonates with you, I'm going to play the singing bell to support moving this energy. If there's something more pressing that you need, if you're going through something else that is important to you, or you need some healing or some support or some strength, whatever you need, make that your intention as I connect with the singing bell. If you resonate with what I'm saying, then great, maybe work with that too. So I just want to hold space with the singing bell. So I'm going to hold the singing bell this way. I've taken the ringer out and I'm holding it. Actually, this is the way it goes, but I'm going to be holding it this way because it's easier to play. So I've got my striker. So what I encourage you to do is take some nice big breaths. There's nothing you can do wrong. Just listen to the sound of the bell. Now, because we're talking about truth, illusions, breaking spells, and I'm playing the singing bell, which can be a little on the ears, I encourage you to push through any uncomfortable feeling with the bell, because the bell is also going to help sort of pierce through that illusion that feels very real, but it is illusion, because we're on our way to discovering the truth. And sometimes it means we have reality checks, we have fish slaps along the way, we have spells to break along the way. So don't be surprised if there's part of the bell that may be a bit grinding. See if you can push through that feeling, because that symbolizes you pushing through into truth. So nice big breath. Take a nice big breath, and the birds are beautiful this morning. This is the first healing instrument I got back in about the year 2000. It's been a very faithful companion in healings and support. So I trust you enjoyed the singing bell, and if you just joined in, we're playing it with this energy in mind, card 73, break the spell. break the spell. Now, we can easily say, in fact, it's easiest to say, I'm not under any spell. I'm living my truth. And, you know, if that is our first initial reaction, if that's my first initial reaction, that I want to just go, but this means nothing to me, then that is a red flag already. So I think it's important to sit in it and see and assess whether it's true or not for us in this moment, because it's easy to dismiss it instantly. In fact, that's what the energy wants us to do, because it wants us to keep living in that illusion, because that's what feeds the fear, that's what feeds our shadow side. It's actually not to that energy's benefit for us to wake up, to break spells, and to recognize what we are responsible for and what we aren't, and this sort of thing. So it's easy to ignore it and dismiss it. What is wisest to do, I would say, would be to sit with it and see. Poop. I just dropped one of my cards through the deck. Oh, that's all right. I can go and get that later. We don't need that one. Okay, so I'm getting ready to pull the card to go. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you have enjoyed this connection, please hit the thumbs up button. Please show us some love. Please comment or share if you're inspired to. And if you would love to connect more privately, please send us a message through our website. If you would love to learn more about me and the work I do here at Temple of Balance, then please visit templeofbalance.com.au. Thank you so much for your support. So I'm looking for the best card to go. So what do we need to know for what's next, especially for this next 24-ish hours? What do we need to think about? How can we implement what we've connected with today personally? What do we need moving forward? That's my intention. So the best card for what's next is this one here. It's this. What is it? Hold on. Is it upside down? It was. Oh, this is a good one for especially in the aftermath of what we've just talked about. Card 20, Reconnection, new artwork, as you might recognise. Card 20, Reconnection in my original deck's different. This is in the Rise category, and down here it says, release the separation issues that have you feeling disconnected, alone, or at conflict with yourself. Crown chakra opening, and look beyond what you see. This is actually really perfect in alignment with what we've just been what I've just been talking about. So release the separation issues. Separation to me, even though it feels very real, is sort of an illusion, because there is this illusion that when I've been dealing with my separation issues a long time ago, that was the first big thing that I worked through with my personal self-healing. Separation issues are an illusion. They feel very real, like all illusions do. They feel real to us. But looking back, I see that it is an illusion for me personally to think that I'm separate from myself, separate from others, separate from source, separate from life, that I'm separate at all. That is an illusion, which is the opposite of truth. So part of my very initial big healing time for several years was around clearing those separation issues, which in many ways was me without, and it's probably a bit extreme to say, but in some ways I was living a lie, because I was thinking that I was separate from everything. So I was very sort of, well, probably not very, but I was quite disconnected and scared of separation on many levels, of being apart from people that I connected with and this sort of thing. So it was it's a big phase of healing, is to mend those separation issues, you know, the fear of separation as well. If we've had parents that have separated, there can be a fear that we carry into our own relationships of separation. But it's unhealthy too to cling and attach to people in fear of separation and in fear of parting ways and in fear of growth. Because I've noticed in relationships too that we tend to grow, and hopefully we grow together, but in some instances, in fact probably most, we grow apart because we're growing, or one person's growing, another person isn't, and there becomes this separation, this distance, even though we might be sharing the same house, sharing the same life with another person. So this can also be connected back with that break the spell. Do you feel, or are you fearful of separation and clinging on? And if so, why do you feel you have to cling on like that? So this card's very much about reconnecting with the connections of who we are, moving out of separation and into connection. So where do you feel, where could you benefit from healthy connections moving forward? Starting with that healthy connection with yourself. Because when we feel separated with ourselves, when we feel disconnected from who we are, it ripples out into our relationships in our life. So then we start attracting these types of energies and situations and people to us. So the best person to start looking at separation issues, spells that we might be under, or illusion we might be living, is by really assessing and looking at ourselves. How separate or how connected or disconnected. Disconnected is another word for separation to me. How disconnected or connected do you feel to yourself? Are you comfortable in your body, in your skin? Are you welcoming and supportive of your mind? Are you listening to how you feel? So I'd be looking at my connection with my body or disconnection with my body, my connection or disconnection with my mind, and my connection or disconnection with my feelings. And really look at that world first. And then as that world is mended, as it's the separation and disconnection is replaced with reconnection, then that will automatically start shifting out into our relationships and our life externally. It's quite interesting how that happens. So what do you need to reconnect with? And a way to decide that or determine that might be, what am I feeling disconnected from? And how can you look at actively mending and reconnecting moving forward? So how you might do that, I recommend awareness, being really aware of what your body feels like, what your mind is going through or what your mind is thinking, and what you're feeling. So be super aware, turn on your awareness of yourself so you can see what's triggering you, what are you reacting to, what are you at peace with, what are you grateful for, all these things to be aware of on the good and not so good scale, I suppose, levels. And then you can see what needs shifting, what needs improving, what needs growing, what needs releasing about you. It's easy to finger point and blame and judge other people and say they have the issue. That's super easy. It's harder to look at ourselves and see the issue or the role that we're playing in an issue. So this is what I recommend, really awareness of yourself, and then determine what is right for you, what supports you, what's healthy for you, and what needs to go. What needs to go about your behaviour, your attitude, your issues, this sort of thing. So reconnection moving forward, how can you reconnect with parts of yourself that you've been disconnected from, and then let that ripple out into your life. So I trust that resonates with you. Thank you so much for connecting. Have a fantastic rest of your day. I will do my best to be in tomorrow. I'm putting no pressure on myself to do this daily, but if it comes to be, it comes to be. I do have a fairly busy day because it is Anzac Day here, so we have some dawn service and some Anzac services to play in our band. So I will see you when I see you next. Take care, and thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.